All right, man, let's do this. You fire this weed up. So, for today's What Needs to Go Now segment, it's going to be a follow-up of a follow-up. So I've been covering this story from when I first saw it. And it's about the black student who was suspended for his hairstyle. So apparently, he's been allowed to return to school. And he's immediately suspended again, courtesy of the Messenger. Black student suspended for hairstyle returns to school, is immediately suspended again. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? Seriously. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? It says Daryl George has spent 80% of the school year out of the classroom. Well, it's like, yeah, it's because he's in violation of the fucking rules. Doesn't matter how you feel about it. I don't think I'm going to read all this article. I'm just kind of just looking over it now because I saw the headline. I bust out into fucking laughter because it's hilarious. It's hilarious that you continue to try to force this school to admit that its dress code is unreasonable or discriminatory. It's not. I don't care about this Crown Act shit. Like, I hear you, but this ain't that. I don't think it's that. I really don't. He spent weeks completing coursework in a cubicle away from his classmates. They always try to appeal to you like, oh, he can't sit around his classmates like a normal kid all over his hair. It's like, yeah, yes. That's the goddamn rules. What you mean? Yes, he cannot sit in the classroom with his peers, with his classmates, because his hair is in violation of the goddamn dress code. Said he continued to protest the school's hair policy. They sent him to an alternative education program. Like, yeah. What? I just read something that said the rules is, where is it at here? I just saw it. Yeah. The school's policy states that boys are not allowed to wear hairstyles that would allow the hair to extend below the top of a t-shirt collar, below the eyebrows, or below the earlobes when let down. So if he was to take his shit down, I don't know. Like I said, but it says below the eyebrows, and it's definitely that. It's definitely that. Like, it's not deniable. It's not discussable. Even in this second picture they got here, they take the photograph from above his head. Like, it's like from the camera's perspective, it's looking down on him. So from that angle, one might suggest, oh, well, it's actually not that way, blah, 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 blah. That bitch that I was living with, she talking about, well, his hair don't look that way to me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah, bitch, his shit is in violation. As are you dumb fucking cunt. Anyways, back to this guy. George pins his hair so that it does not reach beyond those lengths, but the school argues his hair would exceed the limit if the pins were taken out. The school has warned George's family he will continue to be disciplined until he cuts his hair. Daryl's hair is out of compliance with the Barber Hills dress code and let down. If Daryl corrects his dress code violation, he'll be allowed to return to his regular classes. Ron Reynolds, the chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, told the New York Times that the school is relying on an unfounded interpretation of the Crown Act. An unfounded interpretation? I mean, well, I guess it is fairly new, this Crown Act shit, but like I said, I just don't think it's that. I don't think it even needs to go that far. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. This child is in direct violation of the goddamn rules. And just because you don't like the rule, like, put your kid in another school. Like, I don't understand why, like, it says, you know, go somewhere where they don't have a dress code. Can't make the school change their fucking shit or say it's discriminatory because he's black. The only way I would say it's discriminatory is if some other black kid in there has the exact same or a very similar hairstyle and they do nothing to him. And as of now, I haven't seen anything to indicate that that's the case. So, would you kindly and respectfully shut the fuck up about this issue? It's not an issue, actually. About this, it's your issue. It's not an issue. It's your issue. You are the one who has an issue with it. I don't particularly care. I just find it slightly amusing to see that as soon as his suspension had ended, he just went back in there and had not corrected what they said and thought he was going to go back to class. Now, I don't think they should make him cut his hair. He shouldn't have to cut it. But if you can't restyle it to come within their standards, go to a different school. Talk about, oh, he can't sit with his classmate. No. Why is that even new at this point? He missed 80% of the school year. He ain't been sitting with his fucking classmates all this time. What's the big goddamn deal? What's wrong with him? How's he suffering? Y'all got some national attention. Y'all trying to ride this shit till the wheels fall off. But I really think it's a dumb complaint, and it's a lost cause. Says his mother says she was concerned her son wasn't getting the education he deserved due to what she views as the school's discriminatory policies. Oh, well, I mean, change his hairstyle, and if that shit remains, I'll 100% agree with you. That's if you want to remain at the school. You can always send him to a different school. I understand how that, logistically might be more difficult or whatever, but hey, at least you want to hear talk about this shit anymore. You won't have to continue to attend a school that discriminates against you. Why the fuck would you want to be there? We're not going to back down, she told CNN. I don't care what tactics they try. Like, tactics? Get a grip, lady. What the fuck are you talking about? Tactics? For having a dress code, which you agreed to by sending your child to that school? You talk about they up to tactics? What tactics? Shut up. There are no fucking tactics here. This is just that never-ending narrative from black people who are in this contemporary civil rights era in their minds. And whilst I understand at a point in time that flavor of communication would have been relevant, but it's not today. Like, that is not the state of affairs. It's not. So to keep talking about everything from that lens, like what tactics they try, like there's no tactics. They did the same thing they did last time. They've been consistent, as have you. So, as I said on the last follow-up is, this ain't really fucking news. I just thought it was really, really funny that You did the same thing expecting the same different results. You know what they call that. I don't even got to say that, but you know what that is. So, you might want to hit the drawing board, rethink the game plan, set aside a couple of these checks. I know you probably getting something for this. Set one of them checks aside, put that shit in the IRA, a hedge fund, some shit like that, a Roth, IRA, something, invest that shit, buy some Ethereum, do something with it, because pretty soon this shit gonna run out. Pretty soon nobody's gonna give a goddamn. There's actual black people dying and suffering and getting actually mistreated. And you over here trying to magnify this minor issue, as is the news companies covering this shit, because it gives them something to talk about and it helps them further this narrative of this reality that's not quite true. Horse shit. So, yeah, moving on. All right, as promised in the last episode, here we go. Yeah. As promised in the last episode, each upcoming episode will include an article from the Daily Wire, because the Daily Wire is absolutely fucking amazing. So let's start things out light, because in all honesty, when I planned the show, I forgot I said that shit. So, oh no, we got to use a different one. So yeah, we just go keep it light. There's some entertainment news, and I'm gonna be rolling a blunt throughout, which I would suggest at this point is nothing new. Gotta find one I want to pick first. I want to pick the good ones out the bunch first. I want to roll the good ones first, and then the shitty ones. Like, oh my god, these long, veiny ass fucking Rellos, man, Jesus. Looking like the best one I'm gonna get right here. Okay. So yeah, courtesy of the Daily Wire. So fucking stupid. Bill Burr slams Jimmy Kimmel while on his show. Now, I'm not particularly a fan of those late night talk shows. Like, I like Bill Maher, but I just don't have an HBO membership. But Bill Maher is probably like the only, like, even though his shit's only on Saturdays and it's seasonal. But Bill Maher is probably the only one, even though Bill Maher is old school liberal, I fuck with Bill Maher heavy. That's one where the political affiliation doesn't harm the conversation. You probably learn a lot from Bill Maher. So to get into the article, also, if you don't know who Bill Burr is, like, how the fuck are you alive? Bill Burr is one of the funniest comedians. He's Dave Chappelle funny. Like, Bill Burr is fucking hilarious. He says what's on his mind, and he's like this old bald white guy, but he fucking says what needs to be said. He's pretty on the nose about shit. I admire Bill Burr. I think he's fucking hilarious. And Jimmy Kimmel used to be funny to me, but I don't really care for him so much. I haven't really watched the Jimmy Kimmel show since it became a thing. I couldn't give less of a shit. So, sorry, I gotta get my weed here. Bill Burr slammed Jimmy Kimmel while appearing on his show and said talk show hosts like Kimmel should just shut up and stop talking about narcissist former President Donald Trump. During the 55-year-old actor comedian's appearance on Tuesday on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live, Burr directed the conversation towards the 2024 election and blasted liberals for the numerous indictments of the former president, which he said has only given Trump new political life. So just to touch on something like that, what he says, they should just shut up and stop talking about Donald Trump. Totally agree. Because what's going to happen is what happened with me and Trevor Noah. See, a lot of people think you're funny because you're relating on the Donald Trump note. Like, Donald Trump is a polarizing figure. So when you start making humor about Donald Trump, a lot of people are going to fuck with you just because you're saying something they want to hear like that day. Like these Trump haters, you might not have anything in your repertoire to say that's remotely interesting to them. They could literally not give a fuck. But if you start talking about Donald Trump, that's the point in which you can relate on. So it's like all this buzz. It's like you're not really like funny. You're not really original. Like you're taking the most relatable polarization point and incorporating that shit into your shtick. That's what you're doing. So I totally agree with Bill Burr that these guys need to shut up talking about Trump every single fucking day, all the goddamn time. Put it like this. Anybody the media goes that hard to try to get, anybody that the media puts all this effort into making you hate, they're probably doing something good. Like, why are they that pressed? If Donald Trump took a knee to tie his shoe, they would be talking about that shit for years. Oh my God, what kind of a former president takes a knee to tie his shoes? He's supposed to have his assistant tie his shoes. Like all that shit. Like, they'll be talking about that shit forever. Everybody, all these fucking bum-ass liberals got these lame-ass jokes. Like I was talking about Michelle Wolf, talking about Ron DeSantis and his fucking hooker boots. Like, hooker boots? Bitch, your career is a hooker. Like, shut up. Shut up, you non-funny bitch. Like, you are just not funny, man. Tired of your face. Tired of your squeaky, shrill voice. Shut the fuck up. Please. Why don't you go take a real comedy class and learn how to be funny? Stop following in Trevor Noah's footsteps, you fucking hack. To continue, it says, you want to see a great case thing on narcissism. Liberals are so fucking stupid the way that they handle Trump. I'm trying to, I'm a blank. Okay. They're so fucking stupid the way they handle Trump. Kimmel pressed the comedian and asked what he meant by his comment. He said, you should shut up. He's Trump, a narcissist, neutral energy, neutral. That's fucking great. Told Jimmy Kimmel straight to his face, shut up. Stop talking about it. Like, quit, let it go. Like, there is no bit of anti-Trump propaganda that's going to make somebody at this point that's going to pull, like, you're not going to see something on TV suddenly. It was like, oh, I was a Trump fan, but suddenly I'm not. I was a Trump supporter, but suddenly I'm not. Like, no, like, everybody in the fucking world knows who Donald Trump is. Everybody. Everyone in the world, not just America. Donald Trump is a global figure, okay? So, people either fuck with Trump or they don't. There's absolutely no middle ground. Bill Burr's talking neutral energy, but that's because Bill Burr knows the shits and probably, I can't speak for Bill Burr, but probably would vote for Trump. I probably would vote for Trump right now. But as far as these late night pundits, just every little thing he does, like they never, ever, ever, ever say a good thing about Trump, ever. Like, it's definitely good things to be said about Trump. But they do not talk about them because they know Donald Trump can't be bought. Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about their evil ass interests because Democrats are evil. We know they don't give a fuck about this. And they don't like that. They don't like that he can't be their little fucking mouthpiece. So they try to smear him and they try to ruin him. Which is why Bill Burr is telling these motherfuckers to shut up. Now, you got a link to the video here. It's 14 minutes long. We're not gonna even. I'm debating on whether I should even play a snippet of it because I just if you really want to see it that bad, you get up. It's on YouTube. The headline is Bill Burr on Trump versus Biden 2024, lying to kids about Christmas and blah 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 blah. So yeah, to continue the article, what was the last sentence I said? Oh yeah, you should shut up. The comedian replied, he's a narcissist, neutral energy, neutral. Kimmel said, you think he'd go away if we stopped? Burr replied, you know what I think? He's a one-hit wonder. Bill Burr replied, oh yeah, comparing Trump to the songwriter of The Twist, Hank Ballard. He wrote The Twist and that was it. He was on the casino circuit. And then you idiot liberals wrote him Twist again when you indicted him. And now he's a martyr. He's coming back, Jimmy. He's coming back. It's going to be great for comedy. He's coming back. See what he's saying? It's going to be great for comedy? A lot of these motherfuckers wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for Donald Trump, especially these comedians. I said that because I noticed how unfunny they got as soon as they couldn't talk about him anymore, as soon as he became less relevant, their whole appeal tanked. I mean, it tanked. Like, that shit sank like a fucking, like, cement shoes, nigga. Like, it was remarkable to me. But it opened my eyes. You aren't funny. The old dad star then lamented the current choices for president between front-runner Republican presidential candidate Trump and President Joe Biden. I can't believe these are honestly going to be our two choices, Burr told the host. I want somebody in their 40s, somebody that's going to have to live with their decision. Right? That's a good point. With any luck, they'll both die of natural causes before the election, and maybe you could get somebody that still has something to live for. Wow. No, but like, didn't I just tell you Bill Burr says what you need to hear? He does not mince words. So, I'm going to twist the fuck out of this bad boy. So, yeah, Biden turned 81 last month. Holy shit. 81? Good Lord. That guy is a fucking relic, dude. 81 years old. No wonder he can't complete a goddamn sentence. Motherfucker probably didn't even know what day it is. Shit, 81. This motherfucker needs to be in a convalescent center with other aging relics like himself, talking about the Price is Right, bingo, and drinking Ensure. That's what Joe Biden needs to be doing. Need to be drinking Ensure, fucking playing the lottery, and sorting their pills out through the week. Not being the leader of the free world. Trump will be 78 when voters go to the polls in November 2024 and will be older than Biden at the end of his... What? Oh, older than Biden at the end of his 4-year term if voters send the 45th president back to the White House. Oh, I mean, in Trump's case, the age doesn't matter. Now, why doesn't the age matter? I don't know. It just doesn't. When it's Trump, it's okay. When it's Biden, it's not. So, yeah, there's that. Not seriously. I'm I gotta realize some people might think I'm being candid right there, but yeah, I mean, like, as far as these late night pundits who are pretty much all Democrats, like they're all left leaning, they're all a part of that narrative of like, oh, black and brown people are just blah 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 blah. They're all singing from the same goddamn hymnal, and I think you shouldn't do that. I think you should just talk about actual news and quit trying to influence everyone and make it seem like it's just like it's not an attempt to persuade. That's exactly what it is. It would happen on the Daily Show. It's gonna happen on NBC and ABC and all those networks that got that late night shit. Like that's all that is. It's just a way for them to reach the night owls, the people who don't go to bed at fucking 9 or 8 and 9 o'clock like I do. Is for the people that stay up. They got to get that crowd in there and turn them before they fuck around and watch a Donald Trump infomercial and have their eyes open, and then you can never reach these people again. So that's my stance on that. All right, moving on. Got a article here from Bold, Bolde. What is heteropessimism and why are so many women affected by it? Now, normally when I see something like this, especially when I see the word heteropessimism, I mean, I don't really need the etymology of a word to figure out what it might mean, but I see hetero, which, heterosexual, straight, male and female, and then pessimism, the opposite of optimism. The optimist glass is half full, the pessimist glass is half empty. So when you combine hetero and pessimism, I kind of hear lesbian. But contrary to what I would normally do, I'm not going to look this word up. We're just going to read this article because I've quickly skimmed through it. And it's a lot of listicles, so let's get into this shit. While you may never have heard of heteropessimism, if you're a straight person in the dating world, you may very well have experienced it yourself. The meaning of the word focuses on having negative feelings about your heterosexual identity in straight dating culture. Oh, shit. It's especially popular among women, many of whom become disillusioned by the reality of how difficult it is to find meaningful, lasting relationships. However, men can also experience heteropessimism, with incel culture being the most extreme and dangerous form. Now, I wish I hadn't seen that, but now I can't tell whether this article's woke or not. Sounds pretty woke. They lost me at heterosexual identity and straight dating culture. It's like, oh shit. When I say it's especially popular among women, lesbian, that was kind of, and then, however, men can also experience heteropessimism. So the article headline says, what is heteropessimism and why are so many women affected by it? But now men can also experience it too, because we're diverse and equitable and inclusive. Shut the fuck up, man. I don't want to hear that shit. It says, what is heteropessimism and why are so many women affected by it? I don't care if the men are affected by it. So yeah, this article is probably woke. Let's keep reading this dumb shit. Where did the term originate? The term heteropessimism was first coined by a writer named Asa Saracen in a 2019 article in the New Inquiry. In the article, she writes about the trend of straight people being ashamed, embarrassed, and overwhelmingly negative about their sexual orientation. It's a concept and a feeling that's been around for a long time, but it becomes ever more popular with each passing year. So what, is this based on like 4 years of data? So it becomes popular, more and more popular each year. It's been going on for 4 years. I'm just now hearing about it. And I look for this kind of shit every day. So I would challenge that. Could be wrong, but I would challenge that. And trend of straight people being ashamed, embarrassed, and overwhelmingly negative about their sexual orientation. Where? Just in the beginning, you said, while I may never have heard of it, perhaps it's on this new wave of all this other shit you guys are inventing every other week. There's a daily newsletter with the new shit you guys make up every fucking day. It does not become more popular with each ever passing year, or whatever the fuck. I would like to see something about a trend of heteropessimism. Like all these trends with this LGBTQEE335JJ, FMZDQYXBB1, all that shit is just all new and is not based on anything objective. It completely originates by how someone feels. Someone feels, oh yeah, I feel like I might not identify with this, or I feel like a woman in a man's body, or I feel, yeah, well, reality doesn't give a fuck about how you feel. If there are people out there embarrassed and ashamed and overwhelmingly negative about what they were created to do, then I think it's because somebody told them that. Like nowadays they're telling kids that boys can be girls and girls can be boys, or you can be a wolf, or you can be a pig, or you can be some kind of owl horse or some kind of shit like that. They're telling you this. So when you got the culture inculcating everyone with this nonsense, like not negligible nonsense, serious, deviant nonsense, when you have that shit happening, then yeah, you're going to have people questioning whether they're straight. And I'm not talking about the percentage of people who are just gay. They know they're gay. They aren't talking about I'm a man in a woman's body. They just know that they probably had pussy, don't like it. They're naturally gay. They haven't been groomed in the gayness, Maybe that's why anyone today would be ashamed about their straightness. I don't hear straight people being ashamed. I don't even hear gay people being ashamed. Like once you know, you know. But the thing is, if it works for you, does that mean you're going to try to like spread it like Christianity or some shit? Continue. According to Saracen, heteropessimism is performative in that it acts as a defense mechanism. She cites Lee Edelman in describing it as, quote, a feeling that aims to protect against over-intensity of a feeling and an attachment that can survive detachment. In layman's terms, by externalizing the problem and exuding a general feeling of hopelessness, many people think they can protect themselves from heterosexual and dating relationship culture altogether. Ultimately, that rarely works. By externalizing the problem and exuding a general feeling of hopelessness. Now, this is I talk about language all the time and how they oversay shit. Like, so by externalizing the problem and exuding a general feeling of hopelessness, many people think they can protect themselves from heterosexual dating culture altogether. So by giving up, they just give up. You know, they give up on dating. They give up on dating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll just stop there. We won't even say that many people think they can protect themselves. 11 words to say giving up on dating. These people try to make themselves sound official. They try to make themselves sound like they got such insight on this shit, but they sound stupid as fuck. Signs you're a heteropessimist. Oh, God. You regularly complain about the available men out there. All the good guys are taken. There are no good guys. They're all misogynists and incels, cheaters and players, or lazy losers with no ambition. There are no guys on your level. Going on like this is heteropessimism to a T. You claim to want love in one breath, and the next you insist it doesn't exist. I think everybody does that because we've all dealt with somebody who was less than qualified to be what we needed them to be. So we all experienced that to some degree. So, I mean, I regularly complain about how young women are too available but are not. Young women are easily available for short-term relationships, but I don't want short-term relationships. Old women are available for long-term relationships, but they have baggage I don't want. So it's like I regularly complain about the mismatch. I'm a mismatch for the typical dating archetype. But doesn't mean I'm going to stop looking. I just know that like the average person I come across is not going to be it because I know what I want. It's not that there are no good guys. It's not that there are no good women. It's just that when you know what you want, you're now looking for something. You're not just taking what's handed to you. So that's I wouldn't say that's pessimism, especially if you got real experience to base your viewpoint on. Like if it's happened to you, it's only kind of is rational to have you have a negative experience, you have a negative post feeling associated with it. You know, you was married to somebody for 4 years and this divorce. It may not mean you never marry again, but it's like now you kind of shell shocked from that shit a little bit. It's like, okay, now, you know, I have a reason to feel this way, not just me saying it. 2, you feel disappointed in your relationships with men. Even when you meet a decent guy who treats you well, it's never enough. You try to be happy, but there's a part of you that's always a bit disappointed and let down. You may not be even able to pinpoint the problem. You just know that this boyfriend-girlfriend thing is a bit of a drag. Yeah, and that's because it's all short term. Like, you know, the way people see dating in TV and shit and in movies, they think that shit translates to the real world, and it does not. Like, if it does, it's not something you do. It's not something you orchestrate. Excuse me. It's something that happens. So if you have unrealistic expectations, you will always be a bit disappointed and let down. There's nothing wrong with having expectations, but they got to be based in reality. So if you got unrealistic expectations, you're going to feel disappointed in your relationship with men and anything else you have unreasonable expectations for. 3, want a partner? Attract love with the power of your mind. Sweeten is a new research-based startup that shows you how to call love into your life with the power of your mind. Take our quiz and try our tools. They can transform your energy and love life in a few weeks. Okay, so that was just a plug. That was bullshit. Number 4, you're overly defensive about and resentful of gender roles. If a guy so much as holds a door open for you, you lose it. He's either being chivalrous to try to get you into bed, or he thinks you're helpless, right? Not necessarily. Women can cook meals and offer men romantic gestures. The opposite is true too. Not everything is propping up the patriarchy. Okay, well, that's actually a good one. That's a good one. Like I said, I can't really tell whether this article is woke or not. It's got like some woke language in it, but I think to some degree it is attacking the issue. But this article is meant for women. It's not meant for me to be reading. So that's probably what that is. But that what they said, not everything is propping up the patriarchy. That's a big reason why I don't talk to a lot of women, because it's like the moment I get a vibe that a woman thinks I'm a thirsty ass nigga that's just trying to fuck, I lose all interest. I will stop everything. I will stop talking to you. I will stop making eye contact. I will leave you alone completely. You will be dead to me. Like, you got to understand that, like, you giving me something to chase, so I'm chasing it. It's not that I'm some pussy starved ass nigga who just can't. Oh my God, I'll say whatever to get in bed with you. I'll say whatever to fuck you. Like, no, not me. And sometimes I just like doing things for women. When I'm at work, if I see women doing like a particularly laborious task, I will take it from them. I don't say, hey, you need your help. No, I got this. Because that's what men do. It's not because I don't think she's incapable of it. To some degree, I believe she would rather be doing something else. She doesn't want to do this, but you can't pick every single task you do at work. Like, you want to do some shit you don't want to do. And it's just kind of a courteous gesture. I would rather the women in my area look at me as helpful than some kind of obstacle. 6. Oh, no, excuse me. 5. You're always trashing men in the dating scene to your friends and family members. You don't necessarily plan to be alone forever, but your friends and family wouldn't know that by the way you go on. Your heteropessimism is so overwhelming that you can't help but talk trash about men and dating constantly. It's exhausting for those around you. Those are called misandrists. And I would highly recommend avoiding those women, because it's just like you don't stand a chance. You're trying to compare to you're living up to a failure. Like, some nigga did her wrong, and like, you gotta be, every time you do something right, she's gonna minimize it. Every time you do something wrong, she's gonna maximize it. Who wants to be around that? Number 6. You insist you'd rather be single than deal with men dating, even though you don't believe the words coming out of your mouth. No, even you don't believe the words coming out of your mouth, but that doesn't stop you from saying them. You claim that straight men are so terrible, you'd rather be alone forever. You probably know deep down that you're kidding yourself, though. Oh, yeah, most of them. But, it's just like how I would rather admit that I was a cross-dresser than admit that I was a drug addict. Like, the cross-dresser is the lesser of two evils for me. So it's like, yeah. Number 7, you take an involuntary vow of celibacy. The way you tell it, you're choosing not to get busy for the foreseeable future. In reality, you've repelled just not the crappy men, but the decent ones too, with your incessant negativity. You don't give anyone the chance to get close to you, so your vow of celibacy isn't so voluntary after all. I mean, I've kind of taken a vow of celibacy, but that's because I really don't want to just fuck a girl just to not speak to her again. Like, I don't, like, if it's like just a 3-month thing, a little temporary stint, that'd be fine. But the whole one night stand shit is dead to me. Like, I don't want one night stands. I would like to mess with 1 to 2 women tops. One in an alternate with one of them get on my fucking nerves. And, that shit would be ideal. But I'm not in the one night stand. I'm in the I'm ultimately in the long-term game, but I'm in the short to long-term game. So the vow of celibacy, like, it's definitely involuntary, but it's like, it's not involuntary because I'm not capable of getting it. I've been laid. I can go get laid in 30 minutes. I got $60, but I don't want that. So it's not that I'm choosing. Like, if I had sex right now, I'd take it. That's why it's involuntary, but I'm not tripping about it. Like, okay, fine. No pussy for a while, whatever. 8, you swear off men and decide to go gay. Sorry to tell you, but that's not how it works. Straight women who claim they wish they were lesbians are obnoxious. Human relationships are complicated regardless of gender. Sure, men are frustrating, but women can be too. Oh, and as if it had to be said, sexuality is not a choice. Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I pretty much, I agree with everything that was said right there. How much more it is? How many more listicles we got? We got 2 more listicles. I know we running a little long, but this shit kind of got good. Like I said, it was some shit in there where I was like, I don't know, I can't tell, but it seemed pretty spot on. So let's continue. How it can negatively affect your love life. You miss out on great dates by writing men off too quickly. You can't judge a book by its cover, as they say. While there are some immediate deal breakers, being openly misogynistic or threatening, insulting you, lying to you, you can't turn down dates because you've tarred all men with the same terrible brush. By doing this, you miss out on a lot. True. 2, you ruin your relationships because of your harsh views. Even when you do end up with a guy, you always self-sabotage. You fight back against everything he does and constantly accuse him and criticize him of things he hasn't done because of your heteropessimism. It's too much for anyone to deal with. And we all do this. Like, I know they would say, oh, men do this too. Like, yeah, it's hard to trust when you hear about the shit out there. Like, when you hear about the shit men and women do and how a motherfucker can keep up a charade for, like, a long-ass time. It's scary, but, like, it's like you can't go swimming without risking drowning. I don't give a fuck how many lifeguards are on duty. Like, you cannot swim without risking drowning. That's just how swimming works. You cannot play football and risk not risk getting tackled. You can't fucking do hard drugs and not risk getting overdosing. This is how it works. 3, you fail to understand or really listen to your dates or partners. Because you have an idea in your head of what all men are like, you never truly give them a chance. You never hear them out because you've already made up your mind about them. We don't need to tell you why that's a problem, and neither do I. Number 4, you get a reputation as someone who's very negative, man-hating. You might claim you don't care, but you should. Being called a feminazi by misogynistic men is one thing, but it's another if even your friends are starting to think it. Soon enough, no one will want to be around your extreme views. You end up alone long term because no one is ever good enough. It's exactly as it sounds. And that's not really what you want, is it? And something I want to touch back on, that whole like the whole go gay thing. Like, yeah, even I've tried it. That ain't where it's at. Like, the grass is not greener on the other side. In fact, the grass might be dead on the other side. Like, for real. Like, for the people that's truly about that life, that shit works for them. But if you ain't truly about that life, you're going to be questioning yourself whether you good at denying it or you not. Like, a little voice in your head is going to be like, the fuck's going on here? What the fuck's going on here? For real. So, yeah. To wrap this up, say how to change, which I think is very important because it's always easy to point out problems. But if you don't have solutions, like pointing out the problem ain't really a skillful thing to do, So give what you want. Number 1, give what you want to give in dating and relationships. Leading by example is a good principle to follow in all walks of life. That's especially true in dating. If you want to be treated with kindness and respect, extend men the same courtesy. If you want them to get to know you before judging you, offer them the same opportunity. And I just put a status up about this. Like, I try to be the example of everything I want to see happen. I don't just say I want this to happen and expect it to show up. Like, I try to be the example at work, outside of work, in my hobbies and pursuits. Like, I try to be the example. Like, telling motherfuckers to do something is just not enough. I'm literally experiencing now on a day, like, someone thinks they're my boss, but they don't do anything that a boss I would respect would do. They don't take any of those actions. So it's like the hypocrisy will catch up with you. 2, become more self-aware. Is your perception clouding reality? Sometimes you have to be able to assess your own feelings, thought patterns, and behaviors. Could you possibly be caught up in your own heteropessimism to the point that you've lost sight of reality? Be honest enough to face reality. I've also said this many times before. You cannot lie to yourself. If you lie to yourself, you are fucked. You have no chance if you lie to yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, then you should just turn this podcast off, jump off a bridge, and be done with it. That's how serious it is. Number 3, set and uphold healthy boundaries. Just because you need to give guys a chance doesn't mean you should drop your standards. Quite the opposite. Setting boundaries in relationships is healthy and important for your relationship. You want to be with someone who respects yours and vice versa. Number 4, want a partner? Attract love with the power of your mind. Oh, yeah, see, they fucked me again. Fuck that. We ain't reading that shit again. Number 5, learn how to communicate better with men. Yes, think and communicate differently than women. That's just a fact. Or I think they meant to say men think and communicate differently than women. That's just a fact. And while it's not your responsibility to teach them how to communicate, you should learn to meet them halfway. Try to understand their point of view and communication style. Doing so will give you more insight into who they really are. Plus, it will save you a lot of frustration. Yeah, I tried to do this with Queen a lot. I tried to ask her, when she didn't understand the word I said, I defined it for her. When she said something I didn't understand, I'm like, no, you need to clarify this. Like, we can't move on until I need to learn your lingo, like what you mean when you say things. Like, the words you use don't necessarily reflect what you're trying to say in my head, because we got different vocabularies. So when you're using this language and shit, like Lamborghini keys, I'm like, what the fuck is Lamborghini keys? Like, what does that mean? What is, like, when I hear a Lamborghini keys, I know you're not talking about the actual keys to a Lamborghini, because we ain't got none of them. So what the fuck does Lamborghini keys mean in Queenese? Like, I need to learn to speak that language. So when you say that, I'm not over here in my mind like, what the fuck? Did I do something right? Did I do something wrong? What I do? Like, is Lamborghini keys good? Is Lamborghini keys bad? Like, I need to know. Shit. Talk about calling me Faith Evans and all this shit. Like, I don't know what all that shit is. I don't know what that means. Butch Queen. Like, I need to figure that shit out. 6, recognize, accept, and appreciate your differences. In the same vein, it's important to realize that men being different to women doesn't make them worse. It makes them different. The less you lead with your preconceived notions about who they are and what they're like, the more you'll transform your relationships. Just got done talking about that. Number 7, focus on the good rather than the bad. There's always bad. While there shouldn't be more bad than good, focusing on the high points rather than the low ones is life-changing. Trust us. Yeah. So yeah, with this article being read in the beginning, like I said, I couldn't really tell if it was woke or not, but I think heteropessimism is one of the less woke. Like, it sounds woke, but once you elaborate, you come to understand that heteropessimism could be more likely to be a legitimate circumstance. You know, things that would make somebody think they might be gay or do some otherwise shit or damage the relationship capability that they have because they can't detach from the inherent negative experiences associated with relationships, heterosexual relationships. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give a green a thumbs up, stamp of approval to heteropessimism. And yeah, I think everything has been said. Another time I wish I had something to eat for this segment, because I actually was going to talk about something else in place of this, but it's such blatant haterism. Like, just outright haterism. If you don't know what haterism is, it's just not liking something, especially when you thought it was going to backfire and it was wildly successful. And now you just like, oh, well, it's just, like, you have no reason to not like it. It's objectively likable, and you're just being a dick about it. So that's what's happening here, courtesy of them, period. Another fucking obscure-ass news outlet writing articles that no one's ever fucking heard of, or if they have heard of, their existence isn't meaningful or memorable in any kind of way. So the headline here says, Daily Wire's wildly unfunny anti-trans movie has a 95% user rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, based off that headline, which I love to do, based off the headline, like, wildly unfunny, so you're saying 95% of reviewers are wrong. 95% of the people who bothered to leave a comment on that shit don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's possible. I suppose the possibility does exist that, you know, it wasn't wildly funny. And perhaps I could side with those numbers if I didn't watch the movie myself. I watched it when it premiered. God damn it, my text is in the live chat. When that shit debuted, I saw the trailer like 2 days before. I hadn't even heard about it at all. And then saw the trailer like 2 days before it was set to premiere. And the trailer was fucking hilarious. Trailers don't generally get me excited, but when a trailer gets me excited about something, it's usually good. It's reliably good. I've been wrong enough to where I'm not no movie critic or nothing. I don't even really fucking watch movies like that. Which goes to say, like, the fact that I sat through this in its entirety, I started to get sleepy at a certain point, and I sat upright. I'm like, I'm not going to sleep on this shit. It was a good storyline. It was great storytelling, I should say. Like, it actually was funny. I had a lot of moments in the movie where I was genuinely laughing because it was genuine comedy, which is an art form that's slowly dying simply because you can't offend anybody. Someone's always under fire, or some so-and-so blast such and such for such and such remarks. It's like, if I'm not allowed to joke, then you're not allowed to find anything not funny. If I cannot, express humor, you're not allowed to say something's not funny. Oh, I dropped some weed over here. Hang on a second. Oh, fuck it, whatever. I got more. But yeah, this whole shit is an extension. There's always been war on comedians, especially from people like feminists, all the victims groups. There's a video on YouTube by Matt Walsh called The Victim Hierarchy I was listening to earlier. You should probably get that listen to if you want to understand what's tearing down comedy and why Hollywood doesn't really pump out comedies anymore, because you can't fucking offend anybody. If you say something funny and one person doesn't find it funny, we gotta stifle the joke due to their stunted ass sense of humor. That's totally how it works. Yeah, that's enough of my soapbox. Let's get into this fucking article. Enthusiastically anti-trans internet users are flooding transphobic sports film Lady Baller's Rotten Tomatoes page with 5-star audience reviews. Now, I'm gonna have some fun with this. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna rag on their ass as long as they can. I'm gonna dissect this shit. Now, you can already tell from the beginning. This is a story by Abby Montiel. So we already know she's a dumb leftist. I called you dumb and I don't know you, but if this is the article you wrote and this is the first sentence, you are dumb. Enthusiastically anti-trans internet users. What's an anti-trans internet user? So only people who like this movie and left comments on it are anti-trans internet users, enthusiastically anti-trans, because we found a funny movie funny? Bitch. Lady Ballers was created by Daily Wire Plus, the right-wing publication Daily Wire's production studio exclusively for streaming on their platform. Written, directed by, and starring Daily Wire CEO Rob Boring. Okay, now just to interrupt here, I'm pretty sure that the CEO of Daily Wire is Jeremy Boring. So let's just check this. Yeah, Jeremy Boring. He has held this position since 2006. So, as I've done before, in the first fucking opening statements of a damn article is something factually, grammatically incorrect, or just something outright dumb. Who the fuck is Rob Boring? The so-called comedy stars Boring as Rob Gibson, a down-on-his-luck basketball coach who reunites with his former high school championship team and enters them in women's sporting events in hopes of finally winning some games. Now listen to how dumb this broad sounds. I wanted to call her a bitch, but I'm sure I'll get to that point. But she's not a bitch yet, but she's knocking on bitch's door. First of all, the so-called comedy. Check this out. Just because you don't find something funny don't mean it's not a comedy. What actually is comedy is your ideology and your lifestyle and the shit you clearly represent by the language here. So we already got that, like, so-called comedy. You already taking shots at it, so we know where you stand. Who the fuck is Rob Boring? You can't even type. Get your thoughts together. You too busy being mad about something great. You can't even fucking remember the people's name that you trying to smear. Dumbass. And a down-on-his-luck basketball coach in the hopes of finally winning some games. Dude was a champ. He was a champ. He just wanted to win again. He had a rough patch, yeah. Following its December 1st release, Lady Ballers currently has a 95% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes based on 2,500 ratings. So what's 90% of 2,500 would be 2,250. So you just add another 75 to that. What? It'd be 20. So 2,300 of 2,500 people thought it was, good. And you're saying that the 5% who didn't like it were right. I mean, I think it would be safe to suggest at the minimum that you're biased. Ratings, by the way, can be left by anyone. What is that supposed to mean? See how she's just already trying to smear it? Just trying to make it seem like it's bad because she doesn't like it or is anti-trans. Like it being anti-trans makes it bad. Like, just because it's anti-trans don't mean it's bad. Shit. Ratings, by the way, can be left by anyone. Who else should they be left by? People who didn't see the movie? People like you? You probably didn't even watch it. But all the motherfucker gotta do is have a rainbow in the title, in the trailer, in the little picture that they show. Anything. This movie is wonderful, astounding. It really breaks the mold and redefines the effort and sophistication that it requires to be an actor. And all this shit is what you would have said if it wasn't the Daily Wire. Ratings, by the way, can be left by anyone. Let's see some of the ratings. 10 out of 10, we'll watch again and show to my third grade class, one reviewer wrote. I'm so sick of virtue signaling movies. This was refreshing. People complaining about the politics, that's a big part of the point of the movie. You couldn't make Mrs. Doubtfire today, so the movie is self-aware, saying all the words you're not allowed to say. That's not to say Lady Ballers didn't receive its fair share of criticism from audience reviewers. A reviewer who gave the film 1 star put it, if the Lumiere brothers was showing this movie as an example of what their creations would eventually wrought upon the world, they would have burned all their research in themselves. Who gives a fuck what you think, you solo dumbass? Stupid. Shut the hell up. Lady Ballers' Rotten Tomatoes page only features 4 reviews from critics. In a negative review for Decider, wrote John Serba describes the film as racist, sexist, transphobic, and anti-Semitic. So why would Ben Shapiro be in an anti-Semitic movie? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. Stupid as fuck. Racist, sexist, and transphobic. That's what these people all say when you are funny. When you be funny and you use stereotypical humor and you attack obvious shit that's dying to be parodied. Nah, it's racist, sexist, transphobic. Okay. You forgot one thing. It might be all of those things. It might be, but it's also funny. Something you wouldn't know anything about, you dumbass John Serba. Perhaps Boring and Co. struggle with the idea of societal change. Yeah, we do. We do struggle with the idea of societal change, especially when the change is fucking worse. Especially when the change is you. Perhaps they believe in nothing whatsoever and are just lashing out at the stuff they don't understand, don't want to understand, and never will try to understand. Yeah, because it's fucking incoherent and stupid. We've tried to understand it, and our brains and IQ have suffered as a result. You guys are mentally ill, so of course this shit makes sense to you. But it's objectively dumb. Stupid ass. We'll try to understand. We've tried to understand, but nothing makes sense with you guys. Everyone's tried to understand, but the fucking goalpost keeps moving. You guys will always be victims. You will never be satisfied. So that alone is reason to ignore you into oblivion. Fuck anything you have to say about anything at any point. Because if it's not what you like, you're just going to talk shit on it. It doesn't have to be objectively bad. All it has to be is you not liking it. If you don't like it, then yeah, we're getting ready to slander and just tear this shit to pieces because I don't like it. Nah, it's racist, sexist, China. Shut the fuck up, you little pussy ass. Continue. During a recent episode of The Ben Shapiro Show, cast member and conservative commentator Ben Shapiro, whose previous credits include spending nearly 45 minutes throwing a tantrum over the Barbie movie's existence, said that they originally intended to make it a documentary, but then they found out that a group of bigoted cis men in bad wigs can't simply participate in women's sports. Okay, if he did spend 45 minutes throwing a tantrum over the Barbie movie, which I went and saw, I was on board to go see it from the beginning, so other people didn't have to. and they shouldn't have. It was an attempt at a feminist masterpiece. It was terrible. It was fucking terrible. It was like the visuals were good. Like, they green screen and CGI'd the fuck out of it to make it something remotely watchable. Big props to Ryan Gosling for playing the role that somebody had to play. Without Ryan Gosling, there is no fucking Barbie movie. Flat out. You can have all the Barbie and all the fat bitches and all the handicaps and all that shit or whatever. Without Ken, there's no fucking Barbie movie. People will be like, how you gonna make a Barbie movie without Ken? You know, so it was fucking terrible. And a group of bigoted cis men, yeah, okay, so a group of bigoted men in bad wigs can't simply participate in women's sports. As it turns out, most ladies' leagues don't allow any actual men. And the actors weren't willing to go the full distance in terms of what it would require. The actual hormone... shut the... Okay. Yeah, this is Ben Shapiro talking. All right, my bad. I thought this was one of them people. As it turns out, most ladies' leagues don't allow any actual men. True. And the actors weren't willing to go the full distance in terms of what it would require, the actual hormone treatments to actually play in ladies' leagues. So, yeah, that would explain why, the actors didn't want to actually mutilate and butcher and destroy themselves just to be, for the sake of this movie. The movie exists to prove a point. And that's why I got 95% review on Rotten Tomatoes, because people got the point. Obviously. The pundit show is unraveling amid a flurry of misconduct allegations. It's almost like the current wave of attack on trans athletes is fueled by right-wing politicians and commentators' attempts to score points with their bases through cheap fear-mongering attempts rather than any actual evidence. See, this is stupid. There's all kinds of evidence, but it's like when you present the evidence to these people, when you present the evidence to these idiots, they're incredulous. They act like everything you say, no, there's actually an explanation for that. Well, there's actually an explanation for that. There's always an explanation that make us wrong. And yeah, I'm saying us, because I'm against y'all ass. Us. They always want us to be fucking wrong. Despite media like Lady Ballers insisting that there's been a wave of trans athletes competing in women's sports, Athlete Alley found that trans competitors make up less than 0.002% of the 50,000 athletes that have partaken in the Olympics and Paralympics since 2024. Okay, that's 0.002% too many. I could do an article every goddamn day on this show about a fucking weirdo in a trans weirdo in sports that they don't belong in. I literally could. It pops up on my shit all day. I literally wouldn't even have to try. I could literally throw my laptop into the middle of the street, let it get run over by a car, reassemble that motherfucker in the broken, refurbished version of my fucking laptop would still bring me endless articles of transgender cyclists beating all the other cyclists. I got like at least 20 episodes this year, 2023. I got at least 20 episodes where I'm talking about trans women in sports and why they fucking shouldn't be there. That was one of the first 20 episodes I made. Trans women will destroy women's sports. That was one of my first 10 episodes. We almost at episode 65, 70. I've been saying this shit consistently. Y'all motherfuckers don't belong in sports. There is no diverse or equitable way to include men in women's sports. And due to the fact that you guys like to deny biological reality, or you like to just pretend it doesn't exist, we can't have this conversation with you guys. Talking about less than 2-0. Okay, but what the fuck has that got to do with anything? That's the Olympics and the Paralympics. The Paralympics? So now you got to be trans and disabled? That meaningless ass statistic. Shut the fuck up. What's this author's name? Who wrote this? Remember this dumb bitch. Abby Montiel. Yeah, what a loser. You're a fucking loser, Abby Montiel. Nevertheless, trans athletes continue to face transphobic backlash, whether they seek to compete as student athletes or in major competitions. In 2023, during which more anti-LGBTQ bills have been recorded in a single year than ever before, according to the ACLU, states have considered over 40 bills that will restrict or prohibit trans athletes' participation on sports teams. Meanwhile, World Athletics banned virtually all trans women from elite sports back in March. And they should fucking continue to do it. Nobody cares if you want to live your life as a woman. That part is not what bothers people. What bothers people is that you want to live your life as a woman and you want us to affirm that obvious falsehood. Especially in an arena like athletics where things like biology cannot be ignored. You guys cannot twist the fabric of reality to say that just because you put a motherfucker on hormone treatments that they're going to be for any period of time, that they're now the same as women. Y'all are fucking stupid. Y'all are delusional. Y'all have lost y'all goddamn minds. To even go anywhere that's remotely public and assert this fallacy, you should be, man, you should be whacked in the head with something. Like, you need some sense beaten into your ass. Like, you need to be institutionalized. What good are you? What you gonna ever contribute to society? I don't give a fuck if you got a Nobel Peace Prize. If this is the ideology you espouse and you trying to put dudes in women's sports, fuck you. You need to be institutionalized. You need to be away from the rest of us. Because we obviously know that that's a pipe dream. It's never going to be a fair, competitive environment. And you're going to take countless opportunities from actual women who work hard as fuck to be at the top of their sport amongst their kind. And you want to say they're facing transphobic backlash? No, it's not transphobic. You're just getting what you should get. Just like if you walk into a burning house, you're either going to burn to a crisp or die of smoke inhalation. Like, nobody says, oh, you're facing backlash because you got third-degree burns from walking in that burning house. It's like, no, you ain't getting backlash. You're getting exactly what the fuck you supposed to get. Incinerated. So shut the fuck up. We really need this conversation really need to stop. It need to stop. Just stop talking to these people. There is no trans in sports. If you don't like it, who gives a fuck? Make your own dumbass league that nobody's gonna watch and you guys be the king of that shit. Whatever you identify as. But this conversation gotta stop. Like, if these people start saying this shit, we just deny it and just kick them all out of sports and let them just sit there and be mad. What the fuck they gonna do? They're outnumbered. The fuck they gonna do? Fuck them and they allies. Like, nobody cares about this shit. Get the fuck out of sports. Go sit down. You're a failure in sports. You couldn't compete against the men, so now you're going against women. And there are no women coming over to the men's side and dominating anything in the physical realm. Said this over and over and over again, and I will say it as many motherfucking times as necessary until we stop having this conversation, because it's the dumbest conversation we could possibly have. End of discussion. Yeah, man, that's the show. Thanks for watching. Till next time, I will holler at y'all. I'm working on some new shit. Bear with me. Just life gets in the way, but like I said, I'm dedicated to this shit. I've been saying the same shit over and over. So, yeah, till next time, I'll holler at y'all, man. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.